Video by PetRock. Today I'm working on a 2003 Ford Escort ZX2. It's a friend of a friend's car where the brakes are very weak. Just finished servicing the front. There's a video on that, I'll link it in the description. And now I'm going to service the drum brakes. First thing, obviously you jack the car up. I like to put the tire underneath the car so in case it does fall off the jack, at least it doesn't land straight on the concrete. Okay, first thing you got to do is you got to take the two Phillips head screws out of the side of the brake drum. Sometimes these things have a tendency to seize up and be rusted in there. If you're lucky, you can just take it out with a screwdriver with some reasonable amount of wrist torque. If you can't, then you can pick up or rent a hand impact driver. And the way it works is you stick the Phillips head in the adapter, stick the adapter on top of here, stick the Phillips head in here, and then just whack that with a hammer. As I'm pressing it in, twist it with my wrist in the direction I want it to turn as I'm hitting it, just to give it some added extra torque. I've already popped these, so these will actually come off pretty easily for me right now. But anyway, so you just remove them and set the screws aside, making sure not to lose them. So the next part is often pretty difficult for some people. It's to get the drum off. If you're lucky, again, it won't be that rusted on here, and you can just literally just slide it off. If you're not so lucky, you should be able to hit it with a hammer and just hit it around in a circle like this numerous times to get it off. It might help to also spray some penetrating oil in around the lug nuts, in the hole there and all the way around, just to give it a little bit of extra help, because the place where it rusts is literally right in here where it makes contact with the hub. Say if you are really unlucky, what may have happened is your brake discs may have scored a groove in here inside the inside of the drum, which will give you a bit of a lip. Your brake pads may be inside that little groove, so then you're fighting against the brake pads to take the drum off. So now that you have the drum off, you can take a look to inspect the parts in here. I don't know the last time that this vehicle was serviced. It looks like it was a really long time ago because a lot of these parts are a little bit rusty. This brake pad didn't even move. I had to whack it a few times with the hammer to make the pad actually slide within the area that it's in. So I'm actually guessing that this drum may have been seized up, which is par for the course for this car because the two front brakes were also seized. There's a video on how I unseized them that I'll link in the description as well. Anyway, so once you're in this state, it's a good idea to just give it a good hose down with some brake cleaner. And that can's now empty. Switch to another one. And I don't know if you can see this, but that's what just came out of this this brake drum. That's nasty. Kind of makes me wish I put a pan down. Oh well. It's also a good idea before you start taking anything apart to take a picture of the drum in its current configuration. This will allow you so you can reference it later to make sure that you get back to the state that it was in before you got started. Especially if you don't work on brake drums all that often, this is a good practice to get yourself into. It's good to have a set of needle nose vice grips so you can grab onto these springs and remove them easily. Okay. Now another good idea to do is to place all these springs and every part that you take off in an orientation that'll match where it came from. So then that'll give you at least a little bit of an idea of where it came from. So next, I'm just gonna keep removing some springs. Put that one at the bottom. So as you can see, I'm placing the springs in their order that they came, where they came out of. So this is the first spring I took out. That's the second spring, which was at the bottom. This is the third spring that I took out. Now there's this pressure clip right here. This piece right here is a big spring, and there's a pin in the middle that goes all the way through the brake drum. So what you want to do is you want to press down on the pin and then use like a screwdriver or something to push the pin the opposite direction, and then you take it out. Be careful, that spring will bounce. It's a spring, so you don't want it to slip off and smack you in the face. So make sure you're wearing eye protection when you're doing this job. So now the drum is pretty much loose. You can separate it from its top mount, releasing it from the parking brake, which is right here. Set it aside. Now, to avoid contaminating the brake pads with any oil, especially if you're planning on reusing them, or if you're installing new ones, this is a good idea to do to the new pads. And I like to take a bit of packing tape and just cover the pad with it. Sorry, doing that mostly off camera. This will make sure that you don't inadvertently contaminate it with any oils or grease or whatever schmutz is on this brake rotor drum as you're playing with it. So it's just a good idea to protect it. I'm going to test the operation of the parking brake, which is right here with the adjuster. Sometimes this has been known to seize up, which I think this one may have. Okay, so I scraped off a whole bunch of stuff out of the bottom of this, whole bunch of rust, and I don't even know what that is, out of the inside of here, just to clean it up a little bit and see what I'm working with. It looks like the boot for the wheel cylinder is broken. I don't know how bad the stuff inside is. It sounds like this wheel cylinder may be just broken, maybe just bad, and need to be replaced. Yeah, that's brake fluid. So I'm going to tell the owner that that's something that he should look into. He just wanted me to look at this, look at the brakes, and see what I could do to improve them. I'm going to recommend that he replace this wheel cylinder. His brake pads look fine because nothing was actually moving. So now we get to the point where I start trying to just assess things and put things back together again. So one thing I noticed was that this adjuster rod is a bit squeaky. So I'm going to squirt some white lithium grease. It's just standard white lithium grease. You can pick it up at your local auto parts store. Put it in here, work it around a little bit so that this thing is free moving. So you also want to shoot some lithium grease in here in the adjuster. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. You can take it and push it this way, and then you can rotate it. Make sure that it's free flowing. This is the adjuster that it pushes the brake pads out so that they are still in contact with the brake pads as they wear down. Next thing we'll do is take a bit of emery cloth and sand down the areas that come in contact with the brake pads. There's one there, one there, one there. The alternate side is one there, one there. I don't know if you can see that with the light. And then one at the very bottom. Let me see if I can get that in the shot. Right there. So you want to sand those down a little bit. Take the rust off of it. Make them smooth. Oftentimes after a brake's been on for a while, they sometimes wear a groove in here. And you want to try to get rid of that groove so that the brake pads are free flowing. So that's about it. Now you would take a bit of brake clean, spray off the area that you just sanded, let it dry. Additionally, if you're going to be reusing the brake pads, you want to also clean up the points of the brake pad that are touching the drum with some emery cloth. And 3. There. Done. Next, I want to take some high temp brake and caliper grease. You can pick it up at most auto parts stores. It's very good at withstanding high temperatures, especially those that are experienced in a brake system. Most greases, like multi-purpose grease and others, will literally just wash away, dissolve effectively under high heat, where this stuff won't. It'll stick around. Plus, it's got a little bit of a tackiness to it, so it won't wash off as easily as regular grease. So we want to take a little bit of this stuff and dab it on the points that we sanded a minute ago, where the caliper, or sorry, not the caliper, the brake pads come in contact. So now we're pretty much done as far as disassembly and prep. Now it's just putting everything back together again in the order in which you took it apart. So now I'm going to take the rearward brake pad, and the trick for this one is this little square hole goes over top of this little piece right here. So you want to have this piece as far back that way as you can, and it's attached to the brake, the emergency brake. So if you push the emergency brake this way, you can rotate this pin outward and get your brake pad onto it and into the little groove that's part of the this cable. So then once you got that in there, then you can hook it onto the pin that you removed with the spring clip and hook it into the slot at the very bottom. Next, get the other brake pad and hook its square piece right here onto this piece right here. If you need to adjust this, you can pull this piece right here this way and rotate it all you need. I don't know if you can even see that on the video. Hooked again. Hooked in the bottom. Get the pin through, and now we're most of the way there. Now take the spring clip that you removed earlier, align it, put in position, and press it on. Now do the same for the other side. There. Next are springs. Sorry, I keep reaching across you. Okay, next we got this little itty bitty spring. Yeah, it goes back the way you came, and it came from here. There we go. Almost. There we go. Now it's all the way in. Next, the bottom. 2 hooks. And last but not least, the top spring. And there you go. So now these are relatively free. Okay, to make reinstalling of the drum easier, you want to have this piece as far back as you can get it to go. The way you do that is you press this way and pull this way to extend that little spring. See? And then you can push this lever in as far as it'll go. Now what that does is it makes this pivot point go that way, which pulls this brake pad that way, which ultimately reduces the overall circumference of the brake pads, which makes it so that the brake rotor will go on easier. Take the tape off. Take some brake clean out the brake drum. Rotate the drum so that these holes for the screws line up with the ones on the brake, on the wheel hub. There you go. Now take these two small screws. I like to apply a little bit of copper anti-seize. Silver will do just as well. Just a little bit to the threads. A little dab will do you. This will help prevent it from locking up, so that the next time you try to take it off, it won't be as difficult. You won't need that impact driver. Because these are Phillips head screws, obviously it's very simple, very easy to strip them if there's too much pressure on them. So just tighten them down nice and snug. You don't need to break your wrist in the process. Done. Now you can put the tire back on. I like to put a little bit of anti-seize or chassis grease on the threads here. Again, that also helps prevent them from seizing. If you live in a high rust area or a place where they use a lot of salt on the roads, that'll save your butt if you ever have to take your tire off on the side of the road. Just put a little bit of grease on the threads, and you'll never have a problem getting your wheel lugs off. So that's about it. You can do the same procedure on the other side. It's just reversed. It's the mirror image of this side. Just take your time. Just make sure you keep everything clean, and that should be about it. The same. It's basically the same job as replacing the pads. If you replace the pads, you should do the same kind of thing that I just did here, where I cleaned everything off, put anti-seize on the wear pads, and put everything back together again. So that's it. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And if you want to see more videos, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.